In the winter of 1596, a group of Dutch explorers found themselves trapped on a frozen island in the Arctic. They were starving, shivering, and desperate. When a massive polar bear wandered into their camp, they thought their prayers had been answered. They killed the beast, cooked its liver, and feasted. They felt a momentary surge of triumph, but within hours, the celebration turned into a nightmare. Their skin began to peel off in thick, painful flakes. Their hair fell out in clumps. Their bones began to ache with a pressure that felt like they were being crushed from the inside. They weren't dying of hunger anymore. They were dying of something much more sinister. They were dying of too much life. We have spent thousands of years hunting, but there is a reason you don't see wolf steak in the grocery store or lion burgers on a menu. It isn't just because these animals are hard to catch. It's because nature has set a biological trap for anyone who tries to eat the winners of the food chain. If you try to eat the king of the jungle, the king has a way of killing you even after his heart has stopped beating. To understand why, we have to look at the invisible math of the wild. Every time a plant grows, it captures energy from the sun. When a rabbit eats that plant, it only gets about 10% of that energy. The rest is lost. When a fox eats that rabbit, the fox only gets 10% of the rabbit's energy. By the time you get to a top-tier predator like a wolf or a shark, the energy is spread very thin. This is why a forest can support thousands of deer, but only a handful of wolves. But while the energy disappears as you move up the food chain, something else does the exact opposite. Something dark and heavy begins to pile up. This is the phenomenon of biomagnification. Think of it like a biological funnel. Imagine a single blade of grass that has a tiny microscopic speck of a heavy metal like mercury or a chemical like lead. That one speck isn't enough to hurt the grass. Now, a cricket comes along and eats 1,000 blades of grass. Now that cricket has 1,000 tiny specks inside its body. Then a small bird eats 50 of those crickets. Suddenly, that bird is carrying 50,000 specks of poison. Finally, a hawk swoops down and eats 10 of those birds. That hawk is now walking around with 500,000 specks of toxic waste in its system. The hawk looks healthy. It looks strong, but inside its tissues, it is a concentrated chemical bomb. When we eat cows or sheep, we are eating animals that live at the very bottom of this funnel. They eat grass. They are clean. But when you move to the very top, to the wolves, the lions, and the bears, you are eating the concentrated history of every single poison that has touched every single animal below them. You aren't just eating a piece of meat. You are eating a biological filter that has been collecting heavy metals for years. But heavy metals are only half of the danger trap. There is a more natural poison waiting in the dark, vitamin A. We usually think of vitamins as a good thing. We are told to take our vitamins to stay healthy. But in a world of high-level predators, vitamin A is a silent executioner. Predators like polar bears and seals eat massive amounts of oily fish. These fish have small amounts of vitamin A. Because the predator lives for years and eats thousands of these fish, their livers become the storage units for an incredible, toxic amount of this nutrient. A single gram of a polar bear's liver contains enough vitamin A to kill a human being. Your body doesn't know how to handle that much health. It causes your brain to swell, putting pressure on your skull until you hallucinate. It makes your skin lose its ability to stay attached to your body. It is a condition called Hypervitaminosis A, and it is nature's way of saying that some animals are simply off limits. The higher you go on the ladder of life, the more the ladder turns into a spike. Then there is the matter of the hidden passengers. Predators are the ultimate hosts for parasites. Think about what a predator does. It eats the sick, the weak, and the old. It is the janitor of the ecosystem. Because of this, their bodies are often riddled with things like trichinella, tiny worms that live in the muscle fibers. If you eat a piece of wolf or cougar meat that isn't cooked to a point of being charcoal, these worms wake up inside you. They burrow into your own muscles, your heart, and even your brain. They find a new home in you because you try to take a shortcut in the food chain. There is also a very practical, almost mechanical reason why we avoid these animals. It comes down to the texture of survival. A cow spends its life standing still, chewing grass. Its muscles are soft, fatty, and tender. But a predator? A predator is a professional athlete that never gets a day off. A wolf is made of nothing but corded muscle, sinew, and grit. Their meat is notoriously gamey and tough, tasting like the adrenaline and the bitter chemicals of a life spent in constant combat. It doesn't taste like food because, in a biological sense, it isn't meant to be food. Every time we look at a lion or a shark, we feel a sense of awe. We see power. We see the ultimate survivor. Our ancestors learned, likely through painful trial and error, that this power comes with a price. To eat a predator is to consume all the bad luck of the environment. You're consuming the mercury from the water, the lead from the soil, the parasites from the weak, and the toxic vitamins of the sea. We have evolved to stay in our lane. We found safety in the herbivores, the animals that turn sunlight into clean energy. We left the predators alone, not just because they could bite back, but because their very blood is a map of everything dangerous in our world. Nature has a beautiful balance, but it also has a very strict set of rules. One of those rules is that the higher you climb, the more toxic the air becomes. So, the next time you see a powerful predator in a documentary and wonder what it would be like to be at the top of that food chain, remember the explorers on that frozen island? Remember the feeling of skin peeling away and the pressure of a swelling brain. We are not at the top of the food chain because we can eat everything. We are at the top because we were smart enough to realize that some things are meant to be feared, respected, and never, ever put on a plate. The predator's trap is always set, waiting for anyone foolish enough to think they can swallow the king.